How are we doing, everybody? Welcome back to the Sean Atwood channel. I'm Ron Swanson, and we are going to be diving into the case of Constance Marten. Mad. It really is. Those of you who don't know this case, I never knew about it until earlier today. And it's shocking. So we're gonna dive into the history of it all, and go over just who these two individuals are. Mark Gordon and Constance Marten. Constance Marten was. You guys can hear me, okay, right? I forgot my cable for my microphone. Hope everyone is doing good. Please like, please share. It really does help me out, and all that good stuff. You can hear me, right? Okay. So let me just get this up on screen as well. Also, a big shout out to you, KOG. I really appreciate what you are up to. So thank you. And I will be in touch. It's just been another crazy day. Right, hang on. Right, that's my chat GPT notes. Right, I'll get an image up as well. Here we go. There we go. So here they both are. So Constance Marten was born in an aristocratic British family. Her father, Napier Marten, was page to Queen Elizabeth II and later became an environmentalist. That's education. She attended the prestigious school and was considered intelligent and accomplished. In adulthood, she became estranged from her family, reportedly after eating Mark Gordon, which is the father. Mark Gordon is a convicted S offender from the US who served time for a violent assault he committed as a teenager. The two began a relationship that led them to largely withdraw from mainstream society. The relationship was considered controversial due to Gordon's criminal past and nomadic lifestyle. Like, I think anybody's family would be upset at a convicted S-offender being brought to the family. I can't imagine anyone would be happy with that. So in 2022 is when Marten was pregnant. They began living off-grid and avoiding social media, social services, and avoiding authorities. But let's read through this report here. In fact, just for the sake of dodgy words, let me do this. Also, the lighting is completely screwed up as well. We just have to deal with it today, people. Okay, so aristocrat Constance Marten seemingly sheds a tear as she was confronted by police over the death of her newborn baby. Aristocrat Constance Marten and her partner Mark Gordon have been found guilty at the Old Bailey of manslaughter of their newborn baby. Now look, just wait until you hear more. One video reveals the moment Marten cries when she is confronted over the death of her weeks-old baby she shared with Gordon in the police interview. In the clip, the police officer tells Marten the baby has been found and that it's not alive. She only responds to this by simply saying okay and calmly confirms that it's her baby. Only when she is asked by the officer to explain more about the baby, Marten brings her hands to her face and wipes away tears in a seemingly emotional display. Looking visibly distressed, the officer tells Marten that there is no rush and he's not there to judge. The couple fled authorities and went off-grid following the birth of the newborn, Victoria, in a bid to keep their baby after 4 siblings were taken into care. Damn! Victoria's body was discovered inside a shopping bag in a disused shed near Brighton days after the couple were arrested in February 27th, 2023. In a shopping bag in a shed. All your other kids are taken off you. Wild. Here's a picture of her in, I imagine, her aristocratic days. The couple had been on the run for around 2 months. The baby's body was so on the run for 2 months. The baby's body was so badly decomposed to determine the cause of death. The defendants were convicted at an earlier trial of concealing the birth of a child and perverting the course of justice. Moments after being convicted, Gordon angrily shouted from the dock, I'm not surprised by the verdict. It was faulty. It was unlawful. This is not over, it's just begun. Marten said, it's a scam after the guilty verdict was returned. What? Oh, man. See, there's a picture in this news article of what appears to be Marten stood outside a taxi holding a shopping bag, and they've circled the shopping bag. I'm not going to show that photo. Marten and Gordon dumped their baby in a soiled nappy inside a little bag for life. The couple had been in a relationship since 2016 and went on the run when Marten was heavily pregnant with their fifth child late in December 2022. Authorities had previously taken her 4 children into care following concerns of the well-being of each child, which included the previous warnings about the wholly unsuitable living conditions for the baby in a tent, the CPS said. Marten secretly gave birth, and police were first alerted to the existence of the baby when a placenta was found wrapped in a towel in a car that was burning on the M61 motorway near Greater Manchester on the 5th. What? A placenta was found in a bag in a burning car. Like, it's just, you've got to ask yourself, right? What is going on with this? The couple fled the scene and a national hunt was launched to find them and the baby. The pair had took numerous taxis around the country and loitered around different ports in a bid to get out of the UK. They later made their way to East Sussex and settled in the south, Downs National Park, with few possessions for food in freezing conditions, with the newborn baby from the 8th of January 2023 onwards. It is not known exactly when the baby was born or when she died. It is believed that the newborn was alive for some weeks and was forced to endure the cold outdoor conditions. At no stage did Marten or Gordon seek help for themselves or their baby. When spotted by witnesses in CCTV footage, the baby was seen only in a baby grow without adequate winter clothes. Oh man, clothing for cold outdoors. The infant was not wearing any socks or a hat, or even had a blanket. Marten and Gordon were arrested in Brighton on the 27th of February 2023, having been sleeping rough for nearly 2 months. They did not answer any questions about their baby until its body was found 2 days later. Experts have described Gordon, 50, as a sociopathic ex-offender. He was 14 when he arred a woman at knife point in 1989 after breaking into her home armed with knives and hedge clippers. Dang. He was jailed for 40 years, serving half of that in the US before being deported to the UK. Wow. The case is now the subject of National Child Safeguarding Review to consider whether laws should be brought in to protect unborn children. It's very slippery, that one. Because obviously everyone's saying yes, but then what happens if somebody needs to make a choice for themselves as a woman and is denied that? Detective Superintendent Lewis Basford, who led the case, said, "Today, the justice we have long fought has finally been served for raping Victoria." Has it? Manslaughter? The selfish actions of Mark Gordon and Constance Marten resulted in the death of a newborn who should have had the rest of her life ahead of her. She should have recently celebrated her second birthday, but was snatched away by the very people who should have protected and cared for her. This was an incredibly challenging investigation for hundreds of officers who were involved in the search. Our main focus throughout the search was finding Victoria alive, and we all remained devastated by her death. As anyone who has followed this trial will know, it was an incredibly complex investigation. Mark Gordon and Constance Marten deliberately avoided the authorities and continued to shield Victoria from us even after their arrest. This meant the most experienced child pathologists in the country were unable to establish the cause of Victoria's death. We know today's verdict won't bring back Victoria back, but I'm pleased that our painstaking investigation has resulted in those who caused her death being brought to justice. So, I do believe that the story goes that the mother said that she rolled over on top of her baby and suffocated her when they were sleeping. And then they panicked. It's crazy, man, just how many messed up people there are in this world. Right, let's have a little watch this video. See if it'll play. 1 second. It might not want to play.
What we're going to talk about this evening, we're going to talk about a baby that's been found.
Hang on.
We have found a baby. What we're going to talk about this evening, we're going to talk about a baby that's been found. We have found a baby. Constance, I can tell you, the baby's not alive. Oh.
Did you have a question or?
Is it your baby?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
What was that? Like, did you see that?
I can tell you, the baby's not alive. Oh.
Did you have a question or?
Is it
Laughing.
your baby?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. So just to clarify, you just told me the baby that we found this evening.
Yeah.
Dusty. So, sadly, postpartum depression is it's a spectrum, 100%, and it can be anything from being a little bit down, right the way up to drowning your kids in the bath. Like Julia. Hello. Just to let you know that are you there, Mum? Can you hear me?
Yes.
You're
Yes, hello.
I'm live on the show. Do you wanna say hello to everybody?
Well, hello, everybody. This is the mother of Ron.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. So I'll give you a call back when I'm done. I love you lots.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, what was I saying? Anyone remember what I was saying? Hi, Ron's mum. That's awesome. I'm going to assume that you're talking about the woman and not my mother there. It's okay. Okay, so postpartum, thank you. So yeah, it can be anything from feeling a little bit depressed right the way up to doing these horrible things to kids. And Julia is actually in prison with a woman who she became very good friends with. And, you know, a couple of weeks after they've been being friends, it turns out that this lady had done exactly that. She'd drowned both of her kids because she was postnatally depressed. Scary. It's scary. So I don't know if that could come into this as an argument, Dusty, because she's had all of her previous kids taken off of her. She seems to be living this nomadic lifestyle since she met her partner and has sort of become an outcast by her family since she met this guy. It's kind of crazy. Give me 1 second. I need to do this, right? There we go. There we go. And then, no. Yeah. All right. Nice one. So, having all your kids taken away from you, going on the run, setting fire to your car to hide honestly, it's like the plot to a movie, right? Where up until they find the baby deceased in a bag in a shed, it's like a movie of like the chosen child that they've got to keep safe from somewhere. You know, this aristocrat that's given up her life and gone on the run is like this. What is the story behind the story aspect to it? But then, oh no, you just find out it's just lunatics. Absolute lunatics. "53 days they were looking for it." I've not heard about any of this. Nothing until today. Nothing. I mean, look at her there. Normal looking person. Yeah, you know, you're all good, Dusty. It was a great shout. It's a great shout. But there's something really messed up about the baby being so badly decomposed. I've got a hair that's driving me nuts. The baby being so badly decomposed in a bag. It's so messed up. So we're going to just have our little. Oh, man. Again, look how normal she looks. Do you know what I mean? That's like a solid 8.2 on the normal looking lady scale. I mean, don't get me wrong, Freebie. She looks normal in this stage of her life. But man, it goes pretty downhill. Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, what is this? Is like fugitive fashion wear right now. Fugitive freaking fashion. Mental illness is the only road that leads to such events. Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look and see what the timelines are like on this. So I'll break down the case point by point. I'm going to get something else on the screen. All right. So early January 2023, the couple abandoned their burning car near Bolton, Greater Manchester. This triggered a nationwide search because authorities believed their newborn was with them and could be at risk. Over several weeks, they travelled across England by taxiing on foot, staying in temps or temporary accommodation. The pair avoided CCTV cameras and turned off their phones and used... Sorry, one more second, everybody. Excuse me. The pair avoided CCTV cameras, turning off their phones, and used cash to evade detection. Warnings grew more urgent because it was winter and the baby's welfare was increasingly in jeopardy. February 27th, 2003, the police were arrested after a tip-off in Brighton. They were found without the baby, sparking fear the child had died. On March 1st, the baby's body was found in a plastic bag in a wooded area near where the couple had been camping. Apparently, it was in an allotment. It was in a shed. I got mixed reports on it. Gross negligence and manslaughter of baby Victoria, concealing the child's birth and perverting the courses of justice were the charges that they both faced. Okay, give me a second, everybody. All right. So, Mark Gordon, the father of the baby, British-born, spent much of his childhood in the United States, and here are the main facts about his criminal past. Serious convictions in the US that we talked about. 1989, age 14, committed an hour on a woman at knife point after breaking into her home. He was convicted of armed kidnapping, sex battery, and burglary with a weapon. He served 20 years and was released and was deported back to the UK. Patterns of controlling behaviour. Although there's no public records of him being convicted in the UK of further violence before the baby's death, multiple reports described him as having highly controlling and coercive tendencies, an obsession with secrecy, a tendency to cut Constance off from her family and friends. Now, it did say that she became estranged from her family after meeting this guy. How her life got worse after she met him. Okay. Also, Constance Marten was reportedly a bright, promising woman from an aristocratic background before meeting Gordon. Keep in mind, her dad worked for the Queen. You know, I mean, not that matters in the grand scheme of what makes you a person, but for some reason, the more higher up the social ladder some people are, we sort of expect that they're... I don't know what they expect. They're off their nut. I don't know what I'm saying. After being in the relationship began, several things happened. She became increasingly estranged from her family. Her father said that he tried desperately to reconnect. She abandoned her career ambitions and financial security. He started moving between temporary accommodation and campsites. She completely withdrew from her previous social circles. Witnesses reported she appeared withdrawn and isolated. Family members described her as increasingly mentally unwell or vulnerable, though she herself apparently believed she was making her own choices. The isolation escalated in severity when she became pregnant. Okay, about Africa. Some media sources' online discussions mention Africa, often in a confused way. Here's what's known. Because I think Matthew had said something about Africa when we spoke to him earlier. Also, everybody, if you could like and share, I would really appreciate it. It really helps me out, get my little shows pushed out. It really means the world. Some media sources online discussions mention Africa, often in a confused way. Here's what is known. Constance Marten did travel to Africa for periods of time, but details are patchy. Some reports indicate she spent time in Morocco or other northern African countries, partially as part of her attempt to drop out of conventional life. There is no solid evidence that Gordon committed additional crimes in Africa, but her times there appear to have been linked to the process of severing ties with her family and their money. People close to her believe that she became increasingly dependent on Gordon emotionally and financially during these travels. Her father said that after she returned to Europe, she was never the same again. The narrative from her family is that her life became much more precarious as distressed after she entered this relationship and began traveling off-grid, including to Africa. How bad did it get? By the time she returned to the UK, she was pregnant, homeless, and hiding from authorities. Damn! She and Gordon lived nomadically in tents, abandoned buildings, relying on taxis, cash, and wow. Witnesses described them as carrying large amounts of cash, camping equipment, suggesting premeditated plans to disappear. She gave birth without medical help in winter, which unfortunately led to Queen Victoria's death. Summary of horrible things. ChatGPT, you've outdone yourself. You know how your AI assistant starts learning the person that you are. Do you want to see? Look at the headers. This is the most like your inputter is autistic and needs things color coded and broken down into headers. Love it. 10 out of 10, my G. All right. In short, the most serious known offences and behaviours by Mark Gordon include violent sex assault of a stranger at knife point as a teenager, serving 20 years in prison, patterns of controlling behaviour, leading Martine into extreme isolation and evasion of authorities, circumstances that contributed to the death of their baby. Yes, ChatGPT, I would like that. Please expand on psychological aspects of coercive control relationships. Thanks very much. Also, I have a theory that if you're not super polite to ChatGPT, the more AI becomes part of our daily life and the more we talk to it and use it, and the more that we don't use traditional methods of being polite, I think it's going to start overtaking how much human contact some people have, and thank yous and pleases are just going to be seen as unnecessarily wastes of coding or interactions or whatever. So thank you very much, Sheila. Okay, so let's just take a minute. Nah, don't be scared, freebie. Honestly, freebie. Do you know what? This is what I say to everyone who says they're scared of AI. You sound like every single man that used to breed horses when the first car came out. Okay? Can't stop it, Mr. Horse Breeder. Okay? You can't do it. Can't do it. Although, it's getting a bit mad. It's getting a bit mad. You just have to look at the advancements in Will Smith eating spaghetti between 2023 and 2005. It's crazy. My eye is on. I need to get some. I need to get my eye drops. I don't know. I think the worst is still to come. I think there's plenty of room for making things even worse than it is now, KLG. It will never be any better, or the AI will never be worse than it is today. You know? What is coercive? In fact, no, before we go into this, right? So, we have this woman. She has money. She has an elite aristocratic family. She has a life. She has friends. She has all of that. And she then meets this guy, starts traveling, going a bit nomadic, going to Africa. I don't really see what the major relevance to the Africa thing is, but you just never know. So she's deep. She's deep into this relationship. She's deep into the love of this man, to give everything up and to sleep a pregnant woman, sleeping rough and giving birth in a car. Oh, it's Julia. Give me 1 second, everybody.
From a person currently in a prison in
Holy smokes. Well, Julia's fine, everybody. She says hi. Thank you for all the support as always. Thinks you're all awesome. KLG, Deanne, all of the sleuth investigators, you all need to be assembling on Discord for after this live stream. Because, in fact, where's Sarah? Sarah in here. Sarah! So, where were we? Oh yeah, this kind of relationship. Coercive control. Coercive control is a pattern of behaviors used by one person to dominate, isolate, and entrap another in a relationship. Unlike physical violence, which is episodic, coercive control is continuous and psychological. The abusive partner creates a world where the victim feels they have no autonomy. Key elements of coercive control: isolation, control of resources, monitoring and surveillance, degrading and gaslighting, threats and intimidation. Damn. So, number one, isolation, cutting off the victim from family, friends, and support. That seems to be exactly what happened. Controlling who they see or speak to, moving them physically to new places. Damn, serving. Examples in Marten's case: severing contact with her aristocratic family, avoiding authorities and social workers. Wow. Who was that? Somebody just subscribed. Or somebody just did something. Kush, what's happening? Thank you for subscribing. Oh, also, KOG, thank you for the gifted. Why did that not appear? Let's just give it a minute. It might do. It should do. Controlling our resources, controlling money and essential food. And again, examples of this is only using cash and living in tents. Wow. How coercive control works over time. Idealization. The abuser shows the victim with love, attention, and promise of protection. The relationship feels intense and special. Gradual isolation, entrapment, financial control, pregnancy, or remove. Okay. Wow, this is textbook then. This is a textbook case of this. Psychological effects of the victim: chronic fear and anxiety, loss of identity and self-worth, learned helplessness, I can't leave, there's no point, trauma bonding, and cognitive dissociance. Cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. Also, so you know, Boo is our resident ghost. So Boo is an actual ghost, just in case anyone didn't know that. Sup, Boo? You little ectoplasm rascal. Why victims don't just leave? Because I think that in a lot of cases like this, people on the outside are like, well, why didn't she just leave? Or he. Why didn't they just walk away, right? Isolation, no friends, family, or money. Fear of violence, retaliation, losing children, being homeless. Psychological manipulation, they believe that they are worthless or to blame. Dependency, the abuser has become their only source of security. Hope that things will improve if they just comply. In the Constance Marten case, this was compounded by Gordon's criminal background creating fear of authority. So his criminal background creating fear of the authorities. Can you introduce us, Ron, to these guys? What are you talking about? What's happening right now? You're talking about the Boo. Boo's right there. He's a little rascal. Or she. Who knows? Little ectoplasm guy. But yeah, I don't know. Who do you want me to introduce you to? To Boo. Oh, Boo's right there. Boo's right there, you little rascal. She's right there. Their nomadic life making escape logistically harder. her estrangement from family, leaving no clear safety net. How coercive control differs from ordinary domestic abuse. Coercive control is about total domination, not just isolated violent incidents. The goal is erasing the victim's autonomy. Right. I'm sorry. I'm going to look up what autonomy means. And if this is just a smart word for something that's simple, autonomy is a broad sentence that refers to the capacity of self-governance, whether applied. Okay, it's not hard. Jesus Christ. To the capacity for self-governance. So your self-control. Is that right? Is that what that means? The goal is erasing the victim's self-control, autonomy. Self-determination. Yeah, taking away their freedom. It encompasses the right to self-determination and freedom. Okay, right. Thank you. We're learning things today. Independence. Thank you, Dusty. We're going to go with that. That's what we're going to summarize autonomy as. Someone's independence. But I know it's a much grander thing than independence, but that's the gist. How are coercive? Okay, we've done that. How the law views coercive control. In the UK, the Serious Crimes Act of 2015 made coercive control a criminal offence. The law recognises that psychological abuse alone can cause someone severe harm. Convictions are increasing, but proving these cases remains difficult. Yeah, I imagine a lot of hidden cameras are going to be needed for those cases. Signs someone may be experiencing coercive control. Watch for these patterns, ladies and gentlemen. They seem fearful of upsetting their partner. They withdraw from friends and family. They need to make permission to ask permission to make decisions. They have no access to money or documents. They constantly justify or defend their partner's controlling behavior. They seem confused or unsure about their own judgment. Okay. Here is a bunch of support links and numbers and names of some places, just in case anybody is watching needs to do that. I think another thing I want to go over at this point as well. If anyone is in a horrible situation and needs to know how to raise an alarm without verbally doing so, if you put your hand up like this, tuck in your thumb, and fold your hand over like that, this is the universal symbol for you are in distress, but cannot really shout or, you need help. It's an abusive scenario. And this has already saved a lot of people's lives. A simple little thing. So if you see somebody in a car and they hit you with one of these tucked away down here, you go to someone's house, and they open the door, they give a bit of this. Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I look like the milkiest pale white boy ever. So it seems like this is one of those horrifically sad cases where, for whatever reason, this woman has allowed her life to deteriorate so much that she sat in a police cell, being in a police station, being interviewed and laughing when the police officer tells us that they found her baby. It's no longer alive, and she's making jokes. She even moves forward when she's laughing, which is often a sign that somebody's looking for you to do the same thing, almost like, hey, didn't you see I was laughing? Why aren't you? It's also a nervous thing.
We have found a baby. Constance, I can tell you, baby's not alive.
Okay.
Go on.
Did you have a question or?
Is it your baby?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. So just to clarify, you just told me the baby that we found this evening
Yeah.
is your baby.
Yeah.
Right. Tell me about that, Constance. Take your time. Constance. There's no rush, Constance. I can see it's very, very distressing for you. And you're physically upset now. All right? Please, I really want you to take your time. There is no rush. No.
So, if this woman had been dragged around by her husband, been battered, been verbally abused, been shouted at, all of this, we'd be criticising her family right now for allowing the signs to go unchecked. But we've just learned that coercive relationship is an illegal relationship to be in. It's not lawful, it's abuse. Trades that make sense. Sorry to hear that, man. I don't know if they've been sentenced. I really don't know if they've been sentenced, but normal looking woman, man. I'll double check on the sentencing there for you. Okay, so remember how earlier I said they said it was a shed and then they said it was somewhere they were camping? Well, it was allotments. I heard that it was an allotment they were on, and that's not the bag. Don't worry, that is not the bag. Because apparently it was hidden in a shed. Let me just check on this for you. Manslaughter, yeah. I've been convicted, so there's no sentencing yet. Convicted of manslaughter. Let's see what manslaughter, maximum sentence for manslaughter in the UK. Oh wow. Maximum sentence for manslaughter in the UK is life. Damn. The factors influencing the sentence include culpability, the degree to which the defendant is considered responsible for the offence. Okay, let's play devil's advocate here. So if you are asleep and roll over on your baby, you're very much not culpable, right? Harm caused, the impact of the offence on the victim and their family. I mean, it would be the worst type of impact ever. Aggravating and mitigating factors, any circumstances that make offence more or less serious. I would imagine the fact that she was on the lam and outside and in a tent. No, I wouldn't say there was any threat to the public. But man, if we go to the Wikipedia page, right? Contents Martin, a couple disappeared. Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah. So, given further evidence on the 8th of March, Martine said she felt responsible for falling asleep on the baby, if that's what happened, she explained to court. Like, how do you explain to the court that you fell asleep on the baby and then end it with, if that's what, if that's what happened, guys? And you've already had your other 4 kids or 5 kids, was it, like, taken away from you? Also, why does she kind of look a little bit like a Wish.com Angelina Jolie in this picture? But yeah, when I seen this case this morning, I couldn't get it out of my head. I'll tell you something. It's pretty bad when something tragic happens and then somebody tries to conceal the body. But honestly, I feel like the punishment should be twice as harsh when it's a newborn baby or a child or a tiny little person, right? Like, I had to carry my premature baby's coffin, right? It was about this size. This size. It was tiny. And there's just something about the thought of that little girl in a bag. It's just horrific. Young Gina Davis. She would need to smile. We would need, if she hasn't got the tooth to gum ratio of Gina Davis, then no Gina Davis. But it's sad. And we have to ask ourselves, this man here, this horrific relationship that this woman was in, this man's impact on her life, it can't be denied. So it raises a lot of questions for me, because we're talking about a woman who I just can't help thinking that if this man had beaten this woman instead of beating her with words and psychological abuse, that this whole case would have been different. If it had been a battered, abused woman dragged into the streets, forced to have her baby here, and tragically the baby passes away, I honestly think a percentage of the population would be sympathizing with her right now. And then if that's the case, right, what does that tell us then about the difference between psychological abusers and physical abusers, how society sees it, or even how seriously we bother taking it? Because if it's illegal in the same way as battering your partner is, society clearly hasn't caught up with identifying that and being able to sympathize. It's interesting for me. How you doing, Missy? How you doing, Georgie? So I just wanted to talk to you guys about that today. We are back at 8 o'clock with John Wedger this evening. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, we're back tonight with John Wedger, and I just think we could all do with thinking where this woman started and where she ended up. And if we're going to put it all down to simply one bad relationship choice, we all need to do our reading up on knowing the signs of non-physical abuse. Because this is really eye-opening. Because like I say, if he'd battered her up and down the country, this would be a different case. Julia's okay. Yeah, Julia's okay. I can't really say too much. But she's called me with something she wants you guys to look into, which I can't publicly mention till tomorrow, but I can chat to the community about. And when you guys hear this, well, here's the thing, right? None of that was reported. And I'm not necessarily saying there wasn't either. For me, it was that point that we read. Hang on. It was this point here. Right, where was it? It was how coercion works. Just leave coercive control order. So coercive control is total domination, not just isolated violent incidents. The goal is erasing the victim's independence or autonomy. Victims often described as having my life stolen. How the law views coercive control. Serious Crimes Act of 2015 made coercive control a criminal offence. The law recognises that psychological abuse alone can cause severe harm. To be honest, I just think it's interesting when we have psychological abuse in a case like this over physical abuse in a case like this, looking at public reaction and even legal outcomes, if I'm being honest. It's interesting, especially when we consider both of them are abuse. It's interesting for me. Yeah, okay. Yeah, damn. Look, you guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. I don't really know what else to say on this. I've triggered myself a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Anyone who's lost a child or lost a baby, it's horrific. You do not get over it. You learn to live with it. And yeah, so big shout out to all of you guys who are watching. Thank you for being here. Hey guys, gotta say, I was uploading a short to my video channel, Dancing Salsa in Melbourne, Australia, recovering from femur reconstruction surgery. Damn. Femur is a big ass freaking bone. I hope you're doing well. Anyway, hope you're doing well. Yeah, Sarah, hop on Discord. It's very much, this is a mad one. So I'll see you guys on Discord in about 5 minutes on the Legion server in the Julia room. All right. Everyone who's watching, thank you very much. Please like, subscribe, please share, please do all that stuff. Thank you very much for being here. I'm Ron Swanson. And